Okay, friends, before I start off, I'd request everybody to please put their mics on mute. Please turn off your cameras. I repeat, put your mics on mute and please turn off your cameras. This particular webinar is brought to you by Talent Corner. We are an executive search firm headquartered in Mumbai and having offices across India, and Roundtable MMRT 200. Today we have Jaya Obhan with us. Jaya is a business coach, a trainer, a business facilitator, a consultant, has donned many hats in the corporate world before taking up her passion in terms of training people. I have specifically requested her to take a topic which one can use in personal life, one can use in business, one can use in family, one can use everywhere. And therefore, she's been kind enough to bring about the topic rapport. I think it's a day-to-day required. We need to build rapport with everybody. Jaya, today on the call, we have clients of Talent Corner. We have um, team members of Talent Corner. We have
Hi.
franchise partners of Talent Corner. We have prospective franchise partners of Talent Corner. We have members of Roundtable India. And we have certain well-wishers, friends and colleagues. All of them come from very diverse industry. So I'm sure the question answers that you will get also are going to be quite diverse. As discussed, the first 30 to 45 minutes, I request you to do your presentation. And then we will open up for question and answers. We typically would like to do question and answers on the chat box so that all the questions can be answered, right? I'm going to be putting everybody on the mute, and henceforth, Jaya, it's only going to be you for the next 30 to 45 minutes. Jaya, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashesh, for introducing me and for bringing me together with such beautiful people. And the way you were introducing them, I'm sure this is going to be a rocking session, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yes, so you have mentioned about me already that I'm a business consultant and a business coach. So I work with a lot of organizations for their people development, and also for those organizations which find it challenging for process setting and for talent scalability, etc. We help them out in that. That being said, I would want to start introducing myself with this picture, particularly because I'm going to talk about rapport today, like Rashesh already said. And this was one place where I actually learned about what exactly rapport is, how it helps. And on that seminar, how many people I met with whom I still hold a very deep friendship, and how that rapport was struck. This program was Tony Robbins Unleashed the Power Within last year. And I had this beautiful opportunity to meet up with him, and I still worship him as my mentor. Now, post all my ventures of my full-time working with Tata Teleservices, Reliance Infocom, I got into training, and then I started my own company called Jaya Obhan Training Systems. And these are the clients that we already kind of got an opportunity to work for, and we've been really fortunate for the past 8 to 9 years continuously while we are working with the organizations. So that's about me. Moving on to our topic, which is rapport. First of all, I would like to tell you what exactly rapport is. How many of you are already very convenient and fluent with this word rapport, and you already know, okay, this is what rapport is? Can we have it here on chats? Is it possible to have this a little interactive, or should I just
Yes, you can ask people to respond back to the chat.
Yeah, so I would really like that if already you people are aware of what rapport is, or you would want me to throw a little light on that. So there's somebody who has responded. Yes, yeah, I think mostly everybody already has heard of this word rapport, and we already know what it is. Rapport particularly means striking that connection with a person either the first time or eventually when we meet them, or like this is also a kind of meeting, and virtual meetings are going to be more and more upcoming, because this is going to be one way that people can communicate very easily even post this crisis is over. how convenient will it be that we being from different cities and different countries, but we meet up like this, and striking a rapport like this is so easy. The best way actually to strike a rapport is to make that connect with a person where that something is common. Now, like for example, we are all here, and the common thing between us is that we want to learn about rapport. Number one, we are all here associated from a particular group, and that itself makes us feel that okay, there is something common between us. So that is the best way to strike a rapport, by understanding the commonality. However, rapport in itself is that connect, that friendship, that relationship, which then goes on for a long term, whether it is a business relationship, whether it is a whichever kind of relationship, it's your personal, professional, work, job, business, anything. So that is what about rapport. Now there is another thing which I want to add to this, which is that you must have heard of this also, Maharabian's formula, which talks about communication and breaks it down into three different aspects, of which 55% is body language, 38% is the tone of your voice. Like if I'm like in a deadly and a very slow tone and I'm not interested, it shows that I'm not interested. When I'm excited and this kind of tone shows that I'm interested, shows that I'm excited, shows that I'm wanting to be here. And 7% only is your words, right? You get it? So you must have heard of this saying which says that people may or may not remember the words you spoke. People may or may not remember the things which you did for them, but they will definitely remember the way you made them feel, because your words, your actions, your behavior compile a particular aura, a particular vibe which you put out, and according to that people are kind of connecting with you. Would you agree with me on this? Right? So all these three things compile a communication and the vibe, what we call as, yaar, iski vibe badi achhi hai, yaar, iski vibe, I don't like his vibe. It is that only because we like people who are like ourselves, or maybe like people whom we want to be like. But we will definitely not really connect or like those people who are not like us or whom we don't like to be like. So that is the whole difference and the whole thing about this vibe, that with some people our vibe connects immediately, with some people our vibe doesn't connect. So okay, there were some chat things here which I should, yeah, so it's all yes, thank you. I'm glad that you agree with me. So this exactly is what rapport is about, and this exactly is what we are going to talk about. We have understood what rapport is. Now let's come to why do we need this connect or this connectivity? Why do we need rapport building or relationship building? Now, people buy from people they trust. You might think that, okay, this statement would be only good for salespeople. हमें थोड़ी ना कुछ बेचना है. But my dear friends, the reality is that we all are selling something or the other throughout the day. I am selling my point to you. I am convincing you that this is what rapport is. This is why it is important. Isn't it? So when we understand that we are selling or, giving out our ideas, and we really encourage people to take whatever we are saying is called selling, or is what people are going to buy from you. So if you have a good relationship building, technique with you, or that's how you have groomed yourself up, just imagine the kind of relationships you're going to make in your personal life, for your long-term personal relationships, in your professional lives, in your business lives, in any arena. When you have those kind of relationships, it is very easy to put your point across. It is very easy to convince people to do what you want them to do. It is very easy to gain cooperation from maybe your colleagues, maybe your your seniors, your juniors, your family members. These days there are no maids and all. We need cooperation in our own house, isn't it? So if you're not able to sell out your idea about why each one needs to take that responsibility, maybe it might get difficult. So it is also important for us, because we in our own lives are wanting to lead for certain things. We are leaders in whatever realm that we might understand. So, putting those ideas across is something because of which we need rapport building. Now, let's see some of the things. How do we make sure that our communication remains compassionate and empathetic, even when it occurs over digital mediums. Why I'm talking particularly about digital mediums is because if we understand how we need to do it on digital mediums, personally, it's much more easier. But if we are well versed with only meeting people and then having that kind of rapport, then it will be a little difficult to really put that out on a digital medium. So that's why I've just tried to put certain points which emphasize on digital medium. However, those can be applied in any situation, definitely. So we understood like what is rapport, why it is important, and now let's see how we can build certain rapport building skills in ourselves. Okay, so let's go further. Step number 1. Now this says don't assume ever. Just don't do it. Now this is especially for people whom you're meeting for the first time, or even people whom you don't really know very well, but you keep meeting them often and you're not really friendly to them, or you don't have a rapport, or you just know them, they're acquaintances. Now these people, when they just talk a little bit, you also form perceptions. Just like we are talking about rapport and we are saying that we want to give out a certain vibe, the same kind of thing we also get from other people. So that vibe which comes to you initially may or may not be true. First time when you meet somebody, even if you know, okay, this is a khadus person, he's totally snobbish, he just doesn't smile much, he just doesn't make eye contact, he's too snobbish, I don't think I can do business with him. Still, do not judge so soon. There could be another side to it. The reason why we emphasize so much on non-verbal, or even Mehrabian's theory says that non-verbal or behavioral things are so important, is because that is one thing which gives out our personality, and that is the same thing which makes us judge other person's personality. But when giving out your personality, definitely style definitely talks louder than what your words or what your substance is in the beginning. Later on, of course, when you know the person, that even if we are sitting at home and we've not even combed our hair, they know that okay, this is the substance this person has. But the first time, the look and the impression is based on your style. Hence, when you're giving it out, recommended 100 on 100% that your style needs to speak. However, when you're getting that same perception about the other person, highly recommended that do not judge them for the first time, and do not judge them for at least the first 10 meetings, or just don't judge the person. Just try to understand what is it that you can do best for them, how is it that you can communicate best for them, how is it that you can connect in a way where you can find something common, where you can listen to something that uh, attentively that they want to speak. And when you listen attentively, I'm sure you know that people understand it extremely well. Am I right? Yeah. So that being the first thing is that before talking to somebody, or even talking twice or thrice, do not assume anything ever. Just don't do it. Do it once you totally know the person, then make judgments. However, I never encourage people judging anybody, because I totally do not, uh, you know, I do not stop taking action because of the perception people are going to have about me. I do my best and I leave the rest. So I do the same thing. I do not judge people. I understand, okay, fine, they are doing certain things in a certain way. They are not smiling because of a certain reason, or so on and so forth. So it goes both ways. So the first recommendation and 100%, start for a rapport is go to the person without any hang-ups or any social conditioning or any judgment about them at all, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing, do not limit your conversation to professional topics. Now, we are particularly talking about businesses here. However, this can be applied in personal lives. But if I typically talk about businesses, it's a very good idea to not just get professional immediately. Now, of course, if you have got a, meeting time or appointment with some organization, you are not going to go there and chit chat. But still, till date, how many ever deals I have cracked in the best of corporates, be it ISS or be it any of them, the first time when went and I met the person, I never asked them, okay, so let's start the agenda. I always ask, so how is it going? So, what are the new things that are happening in your offices, or some kind of a thing which is beyond what exactly the sale is about, or what exactly that particular agenda is about. Directly coming to the agenda sometimes just makes the person feel, oh, okay, that is quite a little, a back front or something, like, they don't feel very connected with you at that point, or they don't feel very empathetic with you. So it's always a good idea to not always have professional conversations when you're into a rapport building mode, because what will happen is, if you're only sticking to the professional thing, maybe at that point your deal might crack, or your thing might be done, but in the long run you are not going to have those loyal customers, or again and again the business coming to you. So if you're looking at a long term relationship, if you're looking at a rapport basically, then you definitely have to see to it that your conversation twists and turns a little beyond only being professional. Now, I don't mean that you start asking people, or are you married or no, and those kind of things. Of course, I absolutely don't mean that, and you understand that. But what I mean is that you could definitely ask, so how was your weekend? So so what do you usually do on your weekends, or something like that, either before or after your meeting, so that it just gives a little friendly touch. Also, when we talk about, when we do sales training, there is another thing which we suggest, is that when people ask you for whether you want to have tea or coffee or what you'll have, don't say no. Have something, whatever you might like at that point, maybe a green tea or coffee or whatever is available at that time. Just take it. Maybe even if you have 2 sips, what happens is, till the time that tea or coffee comes, even if whatever you have spoken is over, then you have some more time in hand where you can just have a little brief chit chat about off the hook kind of things, right? So it's always a good idea to be in a meeting a little longer than what your work might need you to, right? And then of course have tea, coffee or whatever. That's a suggestion, but depending on the situation that you are into, and depending on how you need to handle that, you can. Now, being into virtual times, obviously you will not go into somebody's office and somebody asks you for tea or coffee, but because now you're saving so much of time traveling, then definitely your meeting should extend, or you should have some kind of a personal connect also with the person whom you're talking to about your meetings, or about business or whatever. So like that. I hope I'm not going very fast, Rashesh. My speed is okay?
Yeah, according to me, you're okay. If anybody is feeling that Jaya is going fast, you can just put it in the chat box.
Yes, it's okay. Great, fine. So going to the next point. So far so good. Going to our next point, the third important thing that a rapport is, what it can do for you, is make time for FaceTime. Now, in these times also, because we are on media, we are most of the times calling people, which is a good thing, because definitely calling is a one step ahead of chatting. And again, if there is something more intense, or some deeper business strategy, or a business association that you're planning to do, it's an excellent way to come on a video call, whether be it on Zoom, or there are so many other platforms also these days available. It's a very good idea to come face to face. Reason being, when you see a person in what kind of environment he is, what kind of surroundings he is, what's the kind of facial expressions that he is giving, it is seriously going to give you a idea about what and which direction extend face to face whenever possible and however possible, even if the person is reluctant at that particular time. uh, Hello. Even if the person is reluctant at that particular time, you can take an appointment or a time where you can come face to face with that person, because facial expressions and the environment where a person sits makes a lot of difference in the kind of connect, or in the kind of deals that we make, right? So that is what I mean to say by saying make time for face to face. The fourth very, very important thing is validate people when they do or say something good. Now, what I mean to say by this, first thing that I mean by this is listening very, very attentively. Like I said in the previous, while I was talking in the previous slide, that when you listen to people, when they feel that they are being heard, it is a very, very instant connect which nothing can beat. Okay, so when a person is talking and you repeat 2 to 3 words from there and then ask them, is that what you're trying to say? It's a deal breaker, friends. It's a deal breaker. I'm telling you, it makes the other person feel heard and it makes the other person feel understood. So that is one thing. The second thing is, I think somebody has unmuted their video and we can hear some voices in between. Okay, so that is the first thing, that we listen. And the second thing is we validate or we appreciate whatever has resonated with us. Now, in 2 or 3 sentences that a person speaks, it is not possible that not even one thing you have resonated with. And if that is the case, then obviously you don't even want to do business with those kind of people. But if you want to do, then definitely they must have spoken something in 2, 3, 4, 5 lines which you resonate with, which you really think is a good point. Repeat that point and say, oh, this is something I really admire, this is something I really appreciate, this is a great point. This is mandatory. I mean, there is no other way or there is no rocket science to this, but when we do this, it really gives a different kind of feeling to the person that okay, not only that I'm heard, I'm also appreciated, which means that I'm adding value to somebody. So like you must be already knowing, I mean, we all know that when we help others, when we do something for others, when we make others feel good, automatically we feel good. And that happens every time and so many times, isn't it? That is also sometimes they say we heal the best by healing others. Same way, when we hear others and when we make them feel good and when we make them feel that they have added some value to us, it gives them immense pleasure. And that would be happening to you also, I'm very sure, when somebody would be okay, what you said,
6 का
and
सर्कल
this
है
is
ना, वो
what I
थोड़ा
mean.
छोटा सा बना हुआ है ना, वो 0 लगता है सिर्फ.
Rashish, I think some sounds are on.
I've taken care of it, Jaya. Go ahead.
So far, so good. This was about validating, listening carefully, giving appreciation wherever required, and also feedback if you need to. But even when we give feedback, I'm sure that we understand that first we put across what are the good things we like about a particular thing or a person or a project, and then we talk about what is it that we would like them to improve. There is no negative feedback, and it should never happen. Reason being, whatever we speak, that we do not like or we want somebody to change, is our perception of that. So might as well keep it more respectable, more approachable, more open, where we appreciate the other person's idea or a thing, and then we put across some kind of prospects for improvement. That is the best way to deal with this. Now, last but the most important, and on this I can take like one full lecture, but I will just try to say it as briefly as I can. Now, you can see 2 people in this picture who are mirroring each other, right? They're holding the coat in a similar way. Of course, one is right hand, one is left hand. That's a different thing, but they're holding it in a similar way and they are talking. Now, mirroring and matching is like magical. That works like nothing else, right? Now you must be wondering, what exactly does that mean? Now what happens is, now there are different means of communication. Let us talk about each one at a time, right? Now, like I had mentioned in the earlier slide, that we always like to be around people who are either like us or who are either like those that we aspire to be, right? We will be a little uncomfortable around those people who are not like us, because we will judge them, they will judge us, and there will be so many things which we will not complement each other or resonate with each other. And also, if somebody whom we don't want to be like, both ways we will be a little uncomfortable. So the best comfort, the best relationship is with those kind of people who are like us. So now when we mirror, what happens is that feeling comes into the picture where we feel alike. For example, if we talk about phone, let's take phone as an example. Now, if you're talking to somebody on the phone, what are the things that we can mirror? Now, this would have been great if we could make this little interactive. What are the things you think can we hear people? Let me go to the chat box. Yes. So in the chat box, please write whatever you think can be mirrored with a person whom you're talking over a call. Yes, you can empathize, but then what is it? What are the same things which you can do? What are the things you can copy of that person who's on the, yeah, you can, the same interest, but for that you will have to talk to them. Language, yes, language is a very important thing, because what happens is, તમે ગુજ્જુ છો અને હું ગુજ્જુ કેવું ને તો તમને બહુ જ મજા આવી જશે, right? How many gujjus in the house? Yeah. So language is an extremely important aspect. The minute you call them and you tell them that hello, is this a good time to talk, and if you get a reply in Hindi, immediately shift. Now you may not be very fluent in many languages, but Hindi, English and a regional language is basic for everybody. So whichever that language is, you know, you can just kind of take that into perspective. So one very important thing is language. The other is tone. Archana says tone, and yes, absolutely. If the person is talking very loudly and if you're like very slow, then it will not match. And then it will be like, you know, he will feel that what happened, jago thoda. But if the person is like just woken up from sleep, hello, and you're like, hey, this is so-and-so calling me, then he'll be like, what? So if you cannot match the exact tone, at least try to match it as much as possible. So yes, language, tone, what else? Energy level, absolutely. Energy level of the person, the pace of the person. If they're talking too fast, and if you're talking too slow, there is a problem. Now also, you know, there are around 58 people in the house. There would be some people who might be talking faster than I talk. For them, it would be like, yaar, kitna aste bol rahi hai. There would be some people who like to talk slow, steady, peacefully, and they will be like, why is she running so fast, right? So there are different kind of tones that each of us has, but when we are trying to build rapport with the other person, it is the best idea to match their pace. So language, tone, pace. If I'm talking with a good listener, if you're talking with a good listener, but okay, so we'll come to the questions. Hold on. What are the other things? We spoke about the language, we spoke about tone, we spoke about pace. What else can you hear on the phone? We spoke about the language also, yes. What about the volume? Right? So again, the pitch and the volume is similar. So one is slow, one is fast. There is another thing that you can, you know, mirror is, yeah, the speed. You're right. It's speed. Also certain keywords. You know, some people have certain keywords that they usually talk when they are, you know, they have this kind of takiya kalam, or they have certain words which they will always use, or even in 3 lines, they will use the word 2-3 times. Try and mirror those. You know, once you do all of this kind of mirroring on the phone, you're not seeing the person, you're not on camera, you're not meeting them directly. Just on the phone, if you're mirroring these things, it really, really helps. You can try this the next time and send a feedback to me. I will really want to know, because it has worked. I have tried it and it really works. Because if we do the opposite of what we are hearing, no, it really, you know, takes the conversation a little haywire, and to bring it back to the point, it sometimes becomes difficult. So that is one thing. Now, if we talk about face-to-face, what happens? So suppose now you get a chance to either meet that person, or, you know, you're talking on a video call. What is it that you can mirror? Tell me. Body language, yes. The body language, what are the things in the body language? Expression. If the person is talking smilingly, okay, I'll give you an example. Now what happens is, If somebody is telling you a story, "अरे तुझे पता है वहाँ पे क्या हुआ? अरे ये हुआ, अरे ये हुआ," and if you are like, it will never match. But if you are also making the same faces, can you see the connection that will happen at that point? So the kind of expression that the person is making, and if we, match that, wonderful. Match their energy and tone, yes. So energy, tone, pitch, everything as it is on the spoken medium, the same thing would be good if we do it one-on-one. Enthusiasm, yes, of course. The amount of enthusiasm they have is the same kind of enthusiasm we should also have. Eye contact, yes, Sunil, that's a very good point. Now, what happens is when we talk about non-verbal skills, let me just show my eyes. When we talk about non-verbal skills, we talk about making eye contact. Now, some people don't understand this idea very well. And what is it that they do? They keep staring the person. And eye contact doesn't mean that you stare a person for 30 minutes or 40 minutes. It's going to scare that person, isn't it? So we need to make eye contact. And when they turn away their eye, we must turn away the eye. So eye contact is all about making a connect, removing, making a connect, removing. And if we do this at the pace of what the other person is doing, it makes all the difference, and it really makes rapport is what we can say. And whenever I say makes rapport, I mean your deal is done, your sale is done, your the girl or the boy has said yes to you for marriage. It works. That is what I mean by rapport. I'll wear my specs back because I can't read the comments. Sorry. Nodding, yeah. So if they are nodding, we nod. Absolutely. It really helps. Have I missed some of the comments? Positive attitude, yes. Now, positive attitude is something that really we all should match everybody's positive attitude, whether we want to make rapport or we don't want to make rapport, because it internally makes us so happy and positive about the whole thing ourselves that, it brings us to a different kind of a state of mind. And when we are in a good, happy, energetic state of mind, miracles happen, creativity happens, new business happens, money comes in, love comes in, everything flows in. I'm sure you will agree with me. So, okay, something we should respond towards the speaker. Give a pleasant and approachable look. Yes, a pleasant and approachable look is always good. So having a neat and tidy look here when I'm coming as a speaker will really make you feel more comfortable than if I have open and a shabby hair and I'm just, wearing some ganji, which I usually wear in the house. So yeah, bring humor in the discussion, bang on. If you can make a person laugh, if you can make a person smile, you are the winner, my friend. Nothing can, give you more happiness or more, connect or rapport, whatever you call it, more than making a person laugh or smile. So yes, Sunil, that's a brilliant point you brought forward. Humor is a game changer, for sure. Is there anything else that you can think of? Now, this is the maximum we can do on a face-to-face video conference. Now, suppose if we get an opportunity to meet people face-to-face, and trust me, like you, I am also missing that face-to-face and that, meeting people personally stuff. But yes, if whenever that will happen, what are some more things you can add to this? For example, what more can you do? So I'll tell you. So there are some people who have a habit of touching and speaking. Have you seen those kind of people? So, they'll pat you on the back. Good job, good job. If you do the same back to them, and of course, now you cannot do that to a person who's at a too higher level. But if you do the same kind of a thing, even on a, client and this level, it really helps. So gesture and posture with a smile, yes. If the posture of the person is straight, even on face-to-face, you need to sit straight. If they have cross-legged, keep it cross-legged. If their hands are, like this on the table, keep it like that. If it's like this on the table, keep it like that. So the more you mirror and match, the more subconscious signal goes to the other person that he is or she is so much like me. So it all works on a subconscious level. It doesn't even work on a conscious level. So when we, try and do these things at subconscious level, it's another level of skill. And I mean, this is a real very big, I mean, it's a huge topic that we can go on and on and on, but I selected these few points which could be really handy to us in our day-to-day lives, and even today that, we are talking about this. So I'll just go back to the slideshow, and yeah, so that was about it. And now I would really want to know that if this was something that will really help you for a rapport building thing, and what are some questions that you might have that might bring more value to this session that we have. So if there is anything more that I would want to say, I'll maybe say it at the end once, but let's put it open for questions. Now there was already one question here. When Okay. Shall we start with fresh questions, or shall I look out for the ones which were asked earlier?
So what I'll do is those who want to ask questions can just put in their name saying that I need to ask a question, and I'll bring you, I'll unmute your mic. So there is a question from Kruti. Kruti, can you turn on your mic and ask your question, please?
Hey Jaya, it was a wonderful session actually.
Thank you so much, Kruti. Thank you.
I would like to know that, except for the professional meet, so when you are meeting somebody very casually, very unprofessional meet, so how do you go about it? Like, will the body language and everything, mirroring and everything will remain the same, or like, how do you go about it?
100%. Mirroring and matching works not only for professional relationship, it works for, like you said, not professional relationships, even when you're going on a date, even when you're, trying to have some kind of a conversation with your children and trying to, get them to some agreement or something like that. For anything that you are seeking some kind of agreement with the opposite person, mirroring, matching, rapport building on the whole works. So let's go point by point again. If you are not biased by any prior judgment, okay, for example, let's talk about somebody you're dating, okay? Now you're dating with somebody, you already have some preconceived notions about them that, oh, maybe this person will think this way about me if I don't dress up like this. So many things are already there in your mind. If you break those, totally break them, what will happen is you will not be judging what he thinks. You will be so stress free. You will be yourself. And when we are ourselves, when we are authentic, forget about any skill, forget about rapport, forget about anything. 100 on 100, the thing works. And I'm sure you will agree to me on this. So when you have no judgment, it will work, whether it is professional, dating, children, spouses, parents, anybody. Whether it is, mirroring and matching, works in any scenario. And whichever were the other points. Everything will work in profession and otherwise. Your body language and the way you make the other person plays a very important role. So make sure that, if especially in the initial times when you're not very well versed with the person, you have a kind of style, just don't be like, I'm not saying don't be yourself, but make a part of your personality such that you're always, groomed well, and, people like to see the kind of presence that you have. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, Jaya. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There is a question from Manish. Manish, could you unmute yourself and ask your question? Kindly put a reference to the same so that we know what you're kind of asking.
Hi, Jaya. Thanks for the session. My kids are in the background, so actually I texted it.
Hi.
Yeah. So my question is, you have put a slide that we should go beyond the professional things and be friendly with the person, right?
Yes.
So in context of that, we as recruiters work with the company HR, and they are very much formal and straight to the point. So how do we deviate from the topic? Because usually they are very busy, and we can't actually think of doing anything else apart from the work.
Right. So you are the HR or you are the candidate?
We are the recruiters.
Okay, you are the recruiters. Now I'll tell you, there are certain companies that invite me especially for recruitment. So I understand that there is a time limit that we have, and getting too friendly gives a different kind of a signal also. Now, when I say that go a little beyond professionalism, it is not what I'm trying to say that, go to another level personal kind of stuff. But it's a very good idea to speak to them about what is their family background, and give them a little heads up about how good you feel about them having children, or maybe old parents, or your concern, or your that kind of care, which gives that kind of connect. See whether that candidate comes to your company or it doesn't come to that company, but once you have a connect with that person, or once you have a rapport with that person, it's never going to be any
Yeah, I interfere here. Yeah, my question in the context of with the recruiter, not with the candidate, with the company HR. As a recruiter with the company HR.
You are the candidate and you want to
We are
make
the
a rapport
recruiter.
with the
We are the recruiters working for the client, who is the company HR.
We are,
okay,
we are
okay.
we are the recruitment company, and we are looking. We are
Yeah.
placing the candidate with the HR.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
In
So you
context
want
of the
to
company
pitch,
HR, yeah.
you want to pitch to the company HR that they take candidates from you.
Yes. So how do we, build a rapport with the company HR as a recruiter?
See, that is very, very important, because I'll tell you why. Because what happens is these are the kind of relationships which you will need loyalty for a very long time. Because what happens, even in times like these, if you have loyal customers, they will not go anywhere else. If you are not available face to face, they will want meetings with you online. So having that rapport is very important. Having said that, how you need to do that is, first of all, when you talk to the HR for the first time, you're only talking for the appointment. There is nothing much that you can do, right? Once you get the appointment or a 30 minutes slot for talking, start your conversation only to the sense that hope, and especially at these times, there is nothing better than making a rapport better than these times. You need to ask, so how are you doing with work from home scenario? Is it comfortable for you guys to manage at home, or you face some kind of challenges? If you start only by this, इसमें तो आपका उनके साथ कुछ काम का बात ही नहीं है. There is nothing about professional. It is a very, very personal, it's a very, very genuine concern that you have and you're asking. So when your conversation starts with something like that, it automatically gives that person a thing that, oh, he cares. He's just not here for business. So when you give that impression that you are not just here for business, with just 2 or 3 questions which, show your concern at non-professional level, it builds that rapport. And then when you're ending the meeting also, if you can just ask him that, yeah, once this is over, I think we should generally also catch up. It was really nice talking to you. You need to make that connect anyhow, because especially in your profession, and I know so many of recruiters, it is extremely important to make that kind of rapport. More than business, rapport is important. So I hope that this might help.
The next question is from someone called Brajendra. Brajendra, could you unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Brajendra, could you? Yeah, okay, go ahead, Brajendra.
Actually, there is some echo at my background, so I have already put my question. Ma'am, could you please read it and answer me?
Okay, so you say why people don't respond on calls, especially first or second call, though they have inquired for what we are approaching them. Would you like to be more specific, or should I give a generic kind of answer for that? Okay, so I'll give a generic kind of an answer. More times than not, what happens is people just see some ad or some product or something which just catches their eyes, and they just go and make the inquiry. They are not very serious about it. Now, there are 2 things that, first of all, you can infer that they may not be interested, or they may be interested, but they are not so serious about it. These are the 2 inferences that you can make. Now, if they are not interested, or if they are not serious about it, your job is that you have to make them interested. And your job is to, see to it that they are serious about buying from you or your product. So it is going to happen that they may not take your call because they are not serious about it. It's, nothing of their concern whether you are making business or you are not making business, but you have to. Now, continuously calling somebody can also irritate them, and that is true. So twice or thrice, if you have tried and the person has not picked up the call, take a little gap and then call them back again, and then just ask about their well-being and stuff like that, and then tell them that you had made an inquiry about this and we have come up with some great offers. I thought, let me share with you those offers. So before making the call, you should have clarity in your mind that you are going to give them this offer, your objective of this conversation is going to be this, and then when you pitch, they will give you a listening ear. But if you're just talking haywire, hi, how are you, and you had made an inquiry, so what happened, you didn't call, it will not work. You have to talk very, very, very objectively. You have to say that, okay, these are the new things that have come up, this is the new, I thought you should know about it, this is how it will benefit you, this is how this product will benefit your organization, this, that. You have to engage them, you have to get them to think, okay, mera ye bhi fayda hoga, this is what is going to benefit, that is what is going to benefit. So that is how you can deal with this kind of a problem. So I hope that answers your question.
There is a question from Disha Thakur. Disha, could you unmute your mic and ask the question, please?
Hi Jaya, I have a question for you. It's better to study a person if you are visiting that person first time. It's better to study that person either you before meeting. If you could get some quick output from the staff members or his colleagues, and then before entering into his cabin. So what is your outlook for that?
That is a very good way of going and meeting a person. But I would still say that if you're inquiring about that person from any of his colleagues or any staff member, then there is always a chance that they might go and tell them, and it will not really give a very good impression. So the best way to research about a person is Google. Go put their name and see what they are. See their LinkedIn profile, see their Facebook profile, see their Instagram profile. You will instantly know what the person is all about. Like if you'll Google my name Jaya Aghan, you'll get all and everything wherever I am and what all I do. So you will know, acha, she's this kind of a person. Then you need to deal with that person in that way. But asking can be a little tricky, but researching is a brilliant idea. Even about the company, if you Google a little bit and see who are their clients, what is the review, what are the, if they have come in any news or anything, what are their latest projects, it really helps. So that's a very good idea.
Yeah, but in my I was working in an organization before joining Talent Corner, and I'd seen most of these visitors who are visiting any of the vendors visiting first time. They have got a habit of asking these things from either the on reception and through peon, what kind of person or what kind of nature of that particular person, so that and particularly I'd seen it from the sales and marketing people who are very cautious and they are they like to have that backup before visiting a particular person.
Yeah,
So
I
how
get it. But
helpful it is.
But when they did this, what is it that you felt? The honest thing. What did you feel when they did this about you?
Generally receptionists, they try to give them hints, like if the person is very quiet, then if the person doesn't like to spend much of the time, then they give that kind of hint that whatever you want to say it quickly and in detail, rather than have a lengthy conversation and all. So those hints or those conversations, generally receptionists, they provide to the particular person if he asks for.
And that receptionist is a very nice receptionist who's doing this. If I was the receptionist, I'm such a mischievous person, I will give the opposite review. I really love the fun happening. I'll tell you, one of my friends recently, she was dating a Punjabi. So I'm a Punjabi, she's a Gujarati. And she asked me that how do we say I love you in Punjabi. So I told her, tell him, tenu main chittar vajawangi. So the meaning of that in Punjabi is I'll hit you with jute. So that receptionist is very good, but it's a very risky thing, because if somebody like me comes into the picture, I'm going to give an opposite review totally.
One need to be clever while dealing with it.
Yes. So this is, see, you think about it now, a Steve Jobs or those level people, will they come and do this kind of stuff? They will never do. So don't think at that level, think of a bigger level. You never think of doing such things.
Yes.
So yeah, so thank you for the question.
Yeah.
It brought in some humor also.
Jay, I have a question for you. So assuming you go for a pre-scheduled meeting, and it's a meeting called by the opposite person, so you obviously landed about there, and you're very keen on building a rapport with the person, but you realize once you've entered into the cabin, the person is in a foul mood. it's in a mood that, something has happened just before you walked in and the person is not in a great mood. How do you pick up the conversation from there that, you're not intruding into the person's space and a rapport is being built?
So when you enter and you see that something has just happened, straight away, first of all, I think is the best way to ask them is that, is this a good time or you would want to reschedule the meeting? If you need some space, it's completely okay. First of all, I think it's very important to make that person feel that, I'm not going to kill you for wasting my time, because this time will be double wasted if you still sit with them and they are not in the right frame of mind and that deal doesn't click. Might as well waste that 1 hour or 2 hours you have spent, meet them again and get a bigger ticket project with them. So the first thing I think is authentically and genuinely asking that person that, is everything okay? You want us to reschedule this? I'm perfectly fine with that. See, what I have learned in my business and how I have grown in life is only by just being authentic. Such. I do a lot of mischief and all of that. That is a different thing. But when it comes to work or when it comes to serious things, reality, authenticity, and not being fake really takes us a long way. So I would have dealt with the matter this way. And what what my mentors also talk about, this is the best way to deal with this kind of situation. It will work.
Are there any more questions? I can see a raise of hand from Snehal. Snehal, do you have a question? Snehal Kadu, do you have a question? Okay, this doesn't seem to be a question, Jaya. Jaya, I think the question answers of the chat are done. Maybe you want to wrap up with your closing comments.
Yeah, I will do that. First of all, whoever asked the question, I hope that there was some value that I could add, because the kind of feedback that I was hearing that these chats go on for 1.5, 2 hours, I hope I haven't bored you guys, or I haven't missed something that would value you, first of all. Of course, if there is anything that you need to talk to me more about, or is there anything you want to ask me later on offline, I'm completely okay with it. Just wrapping this session up by saying that rapport, relationship, and the connect is something that is essential for all of us at all times. The skill that we need to acquire is, yes, it is a skill and we need to acquire that how we need to hold our body language, how we need to match each other's pace and pitch, how we need to not judge or not have any preconceived notions, how we need to listen to the person genuinely. But above all these things is one thing, which is authenticity. And it's 100% authenticity. I don't know how many of you all must have seen that movie, Pursuit of Happiness, Will Smith. Usually when I do my programs, I show that scene always. If you get a chance, just, even if on YouTube, you'll type that, you'll get that scene, that Will Smith's interviewing scene. So he's in all these clothes where he's, wearing this painted shirt. He doesn't have a proper suit or anything. He walks in there and that is his dream job. And he walks in there in those shabby clothes and those people are like, are you usually dressed like that? And he's like, no, I'm usually not dressed like that. But the police had caught me while I was painting my house and hence this paint is all over me. And this, that. Honestly, he tells them everything. And then they laugh. That scene is an epic scene. It's a 4-minute scene. It's my favorite scene throughout because it, says that what authenticity does is beyond anything anybody can think of. So whenever, you feel lost or you feel that, okay, I don't know how to do this, or this is not, how I should be behaving, or this is not that, just be yourself. Just be yourself. It will work 100%. So that is about rapport, and that is about being authentic. That is about communication. When we communicate from the heart, it reaches straight to the heart. That is what I believe, and that is what has worked for me. So yes, recent 2 candidates hired by us left the company. So I think there is a question here from Chandrasekhar. Recent 2 candidates hired by us left the company after working for few days without notice. How to handle the situation? Now, this problem, one of my other colleagues, rather they are my clients, have also been facing very, very frequently. What happens is these new candidates come on board and then they do not like the work pressure. They feel very, that targets, this, that, I cannot do it. And then they just stop coming from the next day. And this is seriously a problem. Now, I'll tell you what, can I share this small story, Rashesh?
Yes, yes, anything is welcome.
Okay, now this story might really throw light on a very important issue, and I'm glad that this question was raised. This is about November. One of my clients was having, okay, so they are into marketing and they generate leads for B2B clients. Now, what happened is there was this one team which was working on calls every day, but they were just not able to achieve their targets. There was something they were just not able to achieve. And the same problem was persisting. New people used to come on board, 2, 3 used to just leave, and the rest were there. Again, they need to be trained and everything. So, the department was just not getting into the hold of how it should be. So I'm a business consultant for them. This issue was brought to me, and I told them that, okay, first let me do it myself, do a trial run, and then we can put that into process for rest of the things. So I picked up 4 candidates. Now, one was 1 month old, he just didn't know anything. He was a college student, like an intern, 19-year-old boy, but very hardworking. One was a 25-year-old, one was this, that. So that kind of 4 people, anywhere from experience between 1 month to 1 year, nothing more than that. I just took them as now they are my employees, right? So the first thing that I did with them was I sat down and we had a meeting only on strategy and accountability. Now, what do I mean by that? We sat down and on a whiteboard, we chalked down all the problems that they were facing while making calls, or all the things which were making them uncomfortable. So they came up with points like, at this time we are not finding so many people, and then we have to call, and then, so many the data is not good, the calls are just not hitting, and this, and they had so many issues, and their issues versus the company's issues, that the company is saying you are not performing, targets are not being met, this, that. So first we came down to all the problems they had. Then one by one, we went to the problem and we thought about a solution for the problem. That was first part of it. Part 2, we made a strategy. What should be the correct time of calling? When the time you are not calling, which is your lunch time. Now, lunch time is usually 1 hour, right? For anybody in the company. But between 1 to 3, 3:30, customers are not available to take calls. So what are they going to do for that 2.5 hours? So we made a strategy as to, they will maybe take a 45 minutes or a 1 hour break for their lunch, and rest of the time, X, Y, Z things they will do, maybe refining the data, this, that. There were a lot of things that we brainstormed, and literally brainstormed in the sense, those 4 freshers gave me ideas as to how they could make their work better. Now, the first step was when they did this, they were like so excited that, oh, we are so smart. Oh, we can bring so much value to the company. They got excited. Now, for them, salary didn't matter. Time did not matter. They were on a mission. So we decided on that day that end of November. So we did all this on the 1st of November, and on the 30th of November, we were supposed to reach the targets. Now, once the strategy was made, now that they have to stick to it, no, because 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, then the whole tempo goes, right? So when I built that rapport with them, first of all, after the strategy, I told them, y'all honestly tell me if you have any issues at home or you have any time constraints, this, that. So we spoke about that. Somebody had a mother alone at the home, so they couldn't wait late, blah, blah, blah. And we worked around that who could give more, value at this time, less value at that time. So it became like a team, the 5 of us, 4 of them and me. Now, what I used to do is for 2 or 3 days before they reached the office, I used to go there and sit. So the first thing I made clear without saying anything, that you cannot come late. No matter what, at this time when we have decided the calls have to start and this is serious. Now, this was the professional aspect of it. But I used to sit down with them for lunch. I used to eat from their dabbas. I used to share my dabba with them. That brought that, closeness with them, where they knew that, we have to do it for her. So sometimes what happens when you cannot beat the processes, you need to beat the people. So in your case, I'm sure this must be happening. And now with the lockdown thing, people working from home, nobody even feels responsible for anything. But if you sit down or if you have kind of a brainstorming with people, if you already make them feel, don't say that, just make them feel that they are so damn accountable, it works. Okay, so this was what happened on Saturdays. I used to go there. One day I just made a lot of pulao for them, and I took, sometimes I used to take chivda. So those were all personal touches I was just giving them, because I just wanted to understand why this thing is not working and how it can work. So on the end of the month, 50 was the target. They achieved 59, and we had like a huge celebration. And then now I told them, now you tell me how we have to replicate this, because I cannot come carrying the dabba every time for you guys. So you have to make that connect with the rest of the team and put this across forward. Now, of course, in lockdown, we cannot take any dabbas or cake or celebration or those kind of things, but you can definitely make a strategy with a whiteboard. Let them brainstorm. Then sit with them. There are companies who are just connecting on Zoom call at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. and they are all like, taking their own drinks and just chit-chatting. So if, you have a step ahead of just being professional, if you genuinely care about people who are working for you, if, you try to befriend them, at the same time, be very professional that this is not something that will work in this company. Coming late will not come. Work not completed will not work at all. But yeah, if you have a problem, I'm standing there for you. If you have an issue, you can come back and tell me. If you need some training, you can tell me about it. So this is how that worked, and I hope that this might throw some light on the problem that you are talking about. Does it? Galaxy tab. Pasavaraju. Oh no, sorry. That was Chandrasekhar's question. Then we have the next question. Chandrasekhar, does this answer your question? Does this help?
No.
Okay. So what exactly is the problem?
So whatever you said, that is wonderful. I appreciate that, and that is very helpful to related to certain positions. My point is, we are a recruiter company, so we are placing candidates on board the respective company.
Okay, so they are leaving it from there.
Their end, yeah, that is it. That is the point. So
before recruiting.
Yeah, please. The situation is like that. The client is having an impression that whatever the candidates we are placing are leaving at very early stage.
Yeah, and then they also feel that you must be doing it only for the commissions.
That could be the thing, or they may be different probabilities.
Correct. So, so that is something that, sorry.
Some bad situation will come, and so they may not behave very close with that. Closeness will come down, of course, for a certain time, but handling that situation is very important.
So before putting them to a client, do you ask them all the sets of questions which can give you a foolproof idea that this person is serious about working, he is open to working at some particular company that you have suggested, and that he is not going to run away? Do you run those questions through usually? Because I'll tell you what, this problem is not just with the recruiting firms. Even the companies who employ us for training, they are asking us for training their leaders just for talent acquisition, because talent acquisition is a serious problem these days. So if you want, I will just send a list of questions to Rashesh, which I have also shared with certain clients, which has been helpful. That, there is certain, we don't need to be quick in the interview. If you just, hamper a little bit for like half an hour, 45 minutes to the candidate, and you ask those kind of questions which give you an idea that, how much this person is going to stay in the company, that will be really helpful. Would you like me to send those set of questions? I think they'll be really helpful for you.
Yeah,
please send those. Most helpful. The point is, the final interview is being taken by the client himself.
Correct.
Final interview is taken by him. So once he satisfies, only will place them and give the appointment letter.
Correct.
But in such situations also, few candidates leave like this.
Yeah, because their attrition rate is there now. See, along with having these questions and these foolproof tools with the client, with the candidates, I think you should also tell the clients that, you know, when we are sending people, please have a round or two of interviews which will help them. So please counsel your clients also how they should conduct interviews, what they should see in a candidate, and how they should employ them before, you know, bringing them on board. I think that will be a very good exercise. And now, since everything is closed down, I think you know, having a meeting with your clients, a virtual meeting, and just giving them certain a little training on how they should also conduct interviews will be really helpful for you.
I think Jay, you
Yeah, that's
took the
also
topic from
fine.
rapport to recruitment. So let's just get back to the rapport building. There is an interesting question from Baswaraju. If you want to answer the question, it's on the screen right now.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think mirroring works every time with every person? What if they think offended or thinking that we are mimicking? Very good point, Basavaraju. Excellent point. Now, very good you asked this, because I think I did not make that point clear. When you are mirroring and matching, it should happen very spontaneously and naturally. The person should not come to know that you are mirroring. If they come to know, then the game is over. Then of course they will feel you're mimicking them. So suppose if you know, you're sitting, if they're sitting straight, and if you're just drooping a little and you slowly become straight, nobody will notice that change. Suppose if you know, their hands are, let me just shift the camera a little like this. Suppose if their hands are like this and yours are like this, and you slowly like just keep your hands like this, nobody will notice. So when you're mirroring or, you know, copying the other person, it has to be so slow and so technically done that the person should never come to know that you're mirroring them. For example, even the words. If they say, hi, how are you? So hope all good. So, yeah, hi, all good. Hope all good with you too. So you copied the word hope, but then that doesn't look like a mimicry. So you have to be very smart when you think about, and you cannot just copy everything. Then that will become like a Simon Says, or you know, the game which we used to play in childhood, that we are just copying the opposite person. They sit like this, we sit like this. They do like this, we do like this. It doesn't have to happen like that. It has to happen very smartly and technically, that the opposite person doesn't even realize something like this is happening. Otherwise, rapport will not be built. This is a very, very brilliant NLP technique. I'm telling you, it really works if you do it with a little intellect, or, you know, little smartly. So don't just copy randomly. Be very slow and just slowly go to that position. Just slowly go into that posture. If their expression is like that, then slowly you also make the expression like this. You have to do it very technically. Thank you for that question. It clarified.
Meeta, your hand is raised. Do you have a question to ask? Meeta?
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that hand was raised by mistake. We're almost 1 hour and 8 minutes into the conversation. Thank you, Jaya, for spending time with us. I don't think there are any last questions, but it's been a brilliant session. The way you covered the basics of rapport building, you know, and it was easier for everybody to understand. Really appreciate it. You actually spent a good 40 minutes to you know, answer questions which are relevant and through experiences. Really appreciate you taking out this time to spend time with us. I could see that the participation had gone up to around 59 people. I also believe that you have a workshop which is coming up next week. If you want to share a
so
little bit information about that.
Yeah, so tomorrow we have a webinar at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6, where me and Mihir Koltharkar, he's my partner. He is an NLP and a sales expert. We are going to talk about how businesses can grow in spite of any kind of crisis, in the terms of how people need to negotiate, how people need to close, how people need to seek cooperation, a little bit about rapport and stuff also. Although rapport was the topic today, but tomorrow is going to be less of that and more of these things, how businesses can grow in spite of you know, this kind of shutdown and stuff happen. I'll be very happy, and I invite all of you to be part of it. It's a free webinar, and we are looking forward to really connect with a lot of people and such brilliant people like you. So I'll be very happy if you join in. I'll send the details to Rashesh and he can maybe
Jay,
spread
would
it
you
on.
mind? Would you mind once again putting in your email in the chat box so that people can contact you for tomorrow's webinar?
Definitely.
So friends, this is a webinar which Jaya is doing individually along with someone else, with Mihir. Both of them are brilliant trainers. I would highly encourage you to attend tomorrow's session. Reach out to Jaya on her email ID. She will send you the web link and please join her session. Today she just did a brief session, but I'm sure I'm going to be coaxing Jaya to do a lot more with my team. And thank you so much, Jaya, on behalf of the team at Talent Corner, on behalf of the team at Roundtable India. Really appreciate. Thank you all the members for being there. I'm going to keep the chat box open for a little bit longer so that you can quickly say your thank yous, and then I'll end the meeting.
Yeah, that is so nice. If you want, I can also put the registration link if
Yeah,
that is
that'll
what.
be great. If you could put the registration link, that'll be great.